Hear me, I can hear me, I can hear me. All right. Yo, welcome to the stream. It's the one and only. Nah, let me stop. It's your boy Captain Patty. Welcome to the worst show on fucking earth, man. And we're back at it like fucking crack addicts, bro. Back at it like fucking crack addicts. Alright, because for the last 3 streams, I've been like covering the history and like what the fuck was going on with the Israel and Palestine conflict and learning about it myself. And you guys were coming along with me on this journey to learn about it. But this is gonna be the conclusion, bro. It's gonna be the last video I do on this. Well, at least learning about it and understanding what the fuck is going on. You know what I mean? My fault. If you're on TikTok watching this, you see I got the lo-fi Chillin' Shimmin' beats playing. Hope it sounds cool. My fucking voice over it. I was kind of going for that. I don't know if I can even hear that shit. My fault. I can't hear myself, obviously, because of fucking Streamlab. Shout out to them niggas. But yeah, yo, let's hop right into this shit, bro. My fault. Hop right into this motherfucker. Alright, let's pause. Let me turn up the fucking volume on the whatchamacallit. Alright, bet. Let's get into it. Alright. So like I said, yo, this is the monologue screen right here. We was learning about the complete unbiased history of Israel versus Palestine. And my fault if I keep looking this way is because I also got the NBA fucking finals on. And OKC's on that ass right now, busting the Pacers ass. I actually want to probably talk about that tomorrow or some shit. Well, not tomorrow, whenever the fuck I hop back on stream. But last place we left off was in the 1990s, bro. Go for the 1990s. And I ain't gonna lie, I kind of forgot what the fuck happened last, bro. I ain't gonna lie to y'all niggas. This is what happens when you fucking stream this shit every fucking once a week, bro. But I'm just gonna start from like the end of the 90s. I'll probably remember and give you guys a quick recap after I watch this for like, give me like fucking 2 minutes, bro. Give me fucking 2 minutes, alright, buddy? And we back on it. You know what I mean? Alright, let's go. Hold up. Let me just change this real quick to the watch content setup. Let's go. Alright. If you're looking, there we fucking go. Alright, I don't know what the fuck this is a map of, so I'm gonna play back a little bit. Let's see what's going on. Actually, I'm just gonna play it back from the beginning of the 90s, bro. I ain't gonna lie.
Odin Valhalla Rising, now available on mobile and PC, exclusively with Google Play Games.
Shut the fucking ads, y'all.
Ascend to Valhalla.
In 1991,
All right, let's go.
After the Gulf War, the U.S. pressured Israel and Arab states to engage in peace talks, and for the first time, Israel and Palestinian representatives met at a formal conference. However, Israel refused to negotiate directly with the PLO, so Palestinians were represented under the Jordanian delegation. There were no breakthroughs, but the conference would lay the small groundwork for future negotiations. In 1992, Yitzhak Rabin would defeat the right-wing Likud party, and he promised to seek peace with Palestinians, but also maintain Israeli security as his government cracked down on Hamas while secretly opening negotiations.
If you guys didn't know, these niggas been hating each other's guts since the formation of Israel, bro. Well, before that, nigga, when it was coming in droves by the hundreds of thousands, and they've been at constant war since the creation of Israel, bro. You know what I mean? And let's do a quick recap. All right, Israel was formed in what, 1948, right? Before then, it was coming in droves by the tens of thousands, bro. Tens of fucking thousands into the land known, well, it was the Ottoman Empire at the time. And then after World War II, the British promised the Arabs, like just the pan-Arab, I guess, nationalism shit that was going on back then. Or like, I forgot who specifically was. I want to say Saudi Arabia, but I could be fucking wrong. I know that Jordan and Egypt and all these niggas was taking pieces of the pie when, when Palestine, taking pieces of pie of Palestine when World War II was over. Because that was like the fall of like all empires and monarchies and shit like that. Like, well, the fall of those kind of empires. But they created a lot of new borders and shit like that in the area, which you know, obviously resulting in war, nigga, because it's like, bro, Ukraine, the borders of people that you don't fucking know. You don't know what the hell's going on over there or anything like that. So they did that. And then it was British man did Palestine. But one thing you got to remember, bro, which I did not know, is that the Palestinians never really had like their own, like, I guess, legal land, bro. Their own legal land, or recognized by the other countries in the world, the United Nations, all that kind of jazz, or what the fuck it was called back then. I think it was called something else before the United Nations. Before that happened, you know what I mean? They weren't recognized as their own country, pretty much, nigga. So then the Brits were trying to not expel, but slow down immigration to Palestine, the Palestine area, because, you know, a lot of Jewish people and the Zionists. Oh yeah, Zionism was created like the 1920s, by the way. Didn't know that until I started watching this fucking video right here. So yeah, there's a whole lot that happened within the 1900s, but they've been coming in droves since the late 1800s. And yeah, bro. Now, after they came in, obviously the Arabs didn't like it because, you know, the Middle East is like the land of the Muslims. You know what I mean? So they want a Jewish state there. And so yeah, they were not fucking with it, bro. So when Israel got established or was recognized as a country by the rest of the world, which happened quite fast. It happened quite fast, bro. They recognized it immediately. Arabs didn't like that, so they started attacking on all sides. And I'm not gonna lie, bro, Israel held their own, yo. And obviously from backing up the United States and shit like that, and backing up the Western countries and shit like that, because, you know, democracy, aka colonialism, bro, aka colonialism, buddy. Oh, colonialism, buddy. So, yeah, that happened, and a whole bunch of terrorist acts, whole bunch of fucking war, whole bunch of murder, whole bunch of killing, bro, over land. From you know, shout out to the Europeans, bro. Let's just say that, shout out to Europeans, but it was just a lot of fighting, a lot of war, and Israel still stands. And the Palestinians just want their own land, bro. Pretty much that's what I understood from watching this fucking video. It's Palestinians fighting for their fucking land, and the Jews saying this is our fucking land, bro. Like, fuck you guys. This is ordained by God. You know what I mean? This is our land ordained by God. So, yeah, bro. Shit is nuts, man. Let's get into the video, though. That was, like, I know, probably the worst breakdown ever, bro. But, nigga, I'm just learning about this shit myself, bro. Like I said, I watched a lot of videos on this shit. People biased on both sides. And so I just wanted to, you know, kind of understand it myself. And so I was like, fuck it, let me stream and learn about it, nigga. Why not? So let's fucking go. We're starting from the 1990s, all right? 1990s. Fuck.
Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, creating an economic crisis in Palestinian territories. In 1991, after the Gulf War, the U.S. pressured Israel and Arab states to engage in peace talks, and for the first time, Israel and Palestinian representatives met at a formal conference. However, Israel refused to negotiate directly with the PLO, so Palestinians were represented under the Jordanian delegation. There were no breakthroughs.
See, but even shit like this, bro. I know I probably think I played it back, so this shit was already said, but still, that's kind of fucking crazy, bro. Like, they got Jordanians representing the Palestinians. Yo, that's not wild. That's not nuts. They got other people from a different country. That's low-key racist as hell, bro. They say these niggas all look alike and just like, fuck it, yo. They know what's best for them. But it's a completely different land, completely different history. You know what I mean? Different people, nigga. Different people. But let's get back at it.
But the conference would lay the small groundwork for future negotiations. In 1992, Yitzhak Rabin would defeat the right-wing Likud party, and he promised to seek peace with Palestinians, but also maintain Israeli security as his government cracked down on Hamas while secretly opening negotiations with the PLO. Israeli and Palestinian officials would begin secret negotiations in Oslo, Norway. And in 1993, the Oslo Accords, officially known as the Declaration of Principles on Interim Self-Government Arrangements, was signed on September 13th and marked the first direct, formal agreement.
Oslo Accords, September 13th, 1993. I've heard of that before, but I'm going to see what the fuck it's about.
Between Israel and the Palestinian Liberation and marked the first direct, formal agreement between Israel and the Palestinian Liberation Organization. This agreement laid the foundation for limited Palestinian self-rule in parts of the West Bank and Gaza Strip, and it signaled a major shift from armed conflict towards diplomatic negotiation, at least temporarily. This agreement led to the creation of the Palestinian Authority, which was an interim self-government body with limited administrative powers over parts of West Bank and Gaza, and they would be responsible for internal security, education, health, and municipal services in these.
Hey, if you live in one of these cities right here, why don't...
All right, so the government, pretty much the Palestinian government was developed in 1993. They finally got a government in 1993, and it was only limited, as you heard, they had only limited control over little parts. So Israel was still, you know, the big boss in town, the big dog in town, you know what I mean? So let's see, and it says it was only, I mean, obviously now, because these niggas are at war now, so obviously we know it's fucking limited, but let's see how long this peace lasted, or this diplomatic, you know, resolution lasted. Let's go.
Click right here.
In those areas, Israel would also agree to withdraw its military presence from parts of Gaza Strip in the West Bank town of Jericho in the first stage, and the accords were designed to be a temporary agreement as it was based on a 5-year timeline for reaching a permanent status agreement. The accords were signed on the White House lawn in Washington, D.C., with U.S. President Bill Clinton presiding and Israeli Prime Minister.
Shout out to USA, man. Niggas been the big dogs, bro. Niggas got these niggas signing a peace treaty on their land. But I mean, I guess that makes the most sense, right? Because if it was happening in Israel, you probably have some fucking crazy Zionist that's gonna fucking shoot the Palestinian leader in the face. And if it happened in Palestine, you probably have some crazy Palestinian that's gonna shoot the fucking Israeli leader in the face, bro. So I mean, I guess it makes sense, but damn. The United States always got their cookies in some jars, boy. I love you from America, nigga. I love it.
Yitzhak Rabin and PLO chairman Yasser Arafat would shake hands in a historic moment that was broadcast around the world. Peace in the Middle East. This image became a symbol of cautious hope, though skeptics on both sides would remain, rightfully so. In 1994, the Gaza-Jericho Agreement would be signed by Yasser Arafat and Yitzhak Rabin, and it granted the newly formed Palestinian Authority limited autonomy in the Gaza Strip and in the Jericho area of the West Bank. This would mark the first formal transfer of territory from Israel to Palestinian self-governance, which was a major milestone in the peace process, given the history. And after decades in exile, Arafat would return to Gaza to set up the Palestinian Authority. His arrival was met with mass celebrations, but also internal tensions, as critics feared that he was building an autocratic regime under the guise of state building. Palestinian Authority was established as a transnational governing body responsible for civilian and security affairs in the territories handed over by Israel. And
anybody that knows about this, yo, I mean, like, was it like, were they supposed to be a democracy when they signed that agreement, or were they allowed to like govern any way they fucking wanted to? Because I know in the Middle East, bro, there's a lot of like theocracies, democrats, whatever the fuck the word is, monarchs, same shit. A whole lot of that, a whole lot of just fucking one nigga ruling over everybody, bro. Or just like a body of people ruling over everybody and not really getting voted in. You know what I mean? A lot of royalty and shit like that out there. And so was it supposed to be like, you know, a democracy, or was it supposed to be, nigga, do what the fuck you wanna, but nigga, leave us alone type shit?
it had limited sovereignty as Israel still retained control over borders, airspace, and settlement. But this was a good step towards peace.
Probably ports and everything too, yo. Probably ports and everything too. Controlling trade and everything, nigga. I mean, I guess they had to agree at that point, bro, because I ain't gonna lie, Israel was definitely putting it on them boys. It's crazy, bro. And it was established in 19, and they just really out here just fucking putting it in pain, bro. Let's be honest. It sucks.
However, that same year in 1994, Baruch Goldstein, a U.S.-born Israeli settler, entered the Ibrahimi Mosque in Hebron and would murder 29 Palestinian Muslim worshippers during Ramadan. This was an act of terrorism that shocked the world. And Israel imposed temporary curfews on Palestinians while settlers were largely unrestricted. This massacre would severely damage Palestinian trust in the peace process, and it also sparked mass protests and deadly clashes in the West Bank of Gaza. Goldstein's gravesite would become a pilgrimage site for Zionist extremists, as the following words would be inscribed on his tomb. He gave his life for the people of Israel, its Torah, and land. He was called a martyr with clean hands and a pure heart. In 1995, the Oslo II Accord, also known as the Taba, agreed.
So let's just digest that real quick. So we have the Israeli guy, an American guy, American Israeli guy, whatever the fuck it was, goes into a mosque and kills 29 people, and the people of Israel celebrated that shit. They celebrated it. That's fucking sick, bro. I ain't gonna lie. And not sick like in, nigga, that sick dude cool way. That's fucking sick, like, nigga, disgusting. Fucking disgusting. Bro, these niggas really hate each other's guts, bro. Holy shit.
Would divide the West Bank into areas A, B, and C. Area A would have full Palestinian civil and security control, mostly major cities. Area B would have Palestinian civil control with Israeli security control, and Area C would remain under full Israeli control. This accord was designed to be a step-by-step process towards final status talks, but it also created more obstacles than solutions. In this same year, Israeli Prime Minister Yitzhak Rabin would be assassinated by Yigal Amir.
I'm done spending an obscene amount of money on takeout every week. Done.
All right, so it seems like the Palestinians got some payback, it seems like, or whatever fuck you want to call it, but they got their fucking murder on. Jesus Christ. I know that didn't go over well. Also, yo, I've heard that, well, I seen something the other day that Israel got like a prime minister and a president or some shit like that. Like, what the fuck is the difference? I'm not going to look that up, but I don't want to interrupt the video right now. I'll probably look that up on my own time and see the fucking differences between the two and what's the responsibilities of each. You know what I mean?
Israeli extremist be assassinated.
Oh, Israeli
Yigal
extremist?
Amir, a far-right Israeli extremist
Oh,
who
shit.
opposed the Oslo Accords. This
Bro.
assassination would shatter the Israeli peace camp and created a leadership vacuum. And Shimon Peres, Rabin's foreign minister, would assume the role of prime minister. The next year in 1996, Yasser Arafat would be elected president of the Palestinian Authority with 88% of the vote. And the elections were largely free and fair, though opposition groups like Hamas boycotted the vote. And this all led to the Palestinian Legislative Council, or PLC, being formed. That same year, Benjamin Netanyahu would become the youngest Israeli prime minister, narrowly defeating Shimon Peres, and he was openly skeptical of Oslo as he criticized territorial concessions and froze many aspects of the peace process, though he did not cancel any of the agreements outright. Israel would also launch a military operation in Lebanon against Hezbollah, which was a conflict that reflected broader regional volatility that was also loosely connected to Palestinian conflict. The operation would
Goddamn,
end.
So they started fighting Hezbollah in 1997, he said. Oh yeah, by the way, I'm gonna link this video if you want to watch without my commentary after I post the show on my YouTube. By the way, the link should be somewhere around here, nigga. Yeah, check it out, buddy.
After the shelling of a UN compound in Qana would kill over 100 civilians, of course, prompting international condemnation. In 1997, Netanyahu's government and the Palestinian Authority agreed to a partial Israeli withdrawal from Hebron, the last major West Bank city under full Israeli control. The city was split, 80% under the Palestinian Authority control and 20% under Israeli control. On the other hand, this year, Netanyahu also approved the controversial Har Homa settlement near East Jerusalem, which drew international condemnation and was viewed by Palestinians as a violation of the Oslo Accords. And the next year, in 1998, the Y River talks, brokered by President Bill Clinton, would bring together Netanyahu, Arafat, and King Hussein of Jordan, and Israel agreed to further redeploy.
Well, every time I remember the last picture they showed of this shit, well, with the other prime minister, the Israelis are never, like, happy, nigga. The Israeli prime minister is never happy. This nigga isn't, like, not smiling, nothing. This nigga over here is cheesing to the right of Bill Clinton. Bro, these niggas do not want any of these agreements at all, bro.
Troops from the West Bank, and the Palestinian Authority agreed to crack down on the militant groups attacking Israelis. Because of this, Netanyahu would face strong opposition from his right-wing coalition, and his right-wing allies accused him of capitulating to U.S. and Palestinian demands. Therefore, his popularity would decline at the time. The next year, in 1999, Ehud Barak, a former IDF chief of staff and the leader of the Labour Party, would win the position of prime minister by promising to revive peace negotiations as he pledged to withdraw Israeli forces from Lebanon and reach a final agreement with Palestinians within a year. Ehud would begin talks with Arafat and the Palestinian Authority, aiming to finalize the permanent status issues that were postponed by Oslo, and optimism would briefly return to the peace process. Ehud and Arafat would meet multiple times, preparing for what would become the 2000 Camp David summit. Now, the next year, in July of 2000, U.S.
Okay.
President Bill Clinton invited Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Barak and the Palestinian Authority President Yasser Arafat to Camp David to try to finalize a, quote, final status agreement. Barak offered a Palestinian state covering about 90 to 91% of the West Bank and all of Gaza with land swaps, and East Jerusalem would be divided, with Palestinians getting control over Arab neighborhoods and some oversight of religious sites. However, Arafat rejected the deal, arguing that it did not guarantee full sovereignty, especially over East Jerusalem and the Al-Aqsa Mosque, and it didn't sufficiently address the right return for Palestinian refugees, and the summit would end without agreement. Fuck. Later that year, on September 28th,
I ain't gonna lie, them niggas are mad little, bro. Like, niggas are mad short. Holy fuck. Unless Bill Clinton's tall as fuck. I don't know how tall Bill Clinton is, but he looked like he was like 7 foot compared to these little ass niggas. Little fucking violent ass niggas, bro. Well, yeah, violent ass niggas.
2000, Ariel Sharon, the then leader of Israel's Likud party and a highly controversial figure, would visit the Temple Mount, or Haram al-Sharif, in Jerusalem's Old City, accompanied by hundreds of Israeli police officers. And though technically a legal visit, his presence at one of Islam's holiest sites was seen by Palestinians as a provocative and deliberate assertion of Israeli authority over East Jerusalem. And although the site is sacred to both Muslims and Jews, it was already a flashpoint for religious and political tensions. And the day after the visit, Palestinian protests would erupt, beginning at Al-Aqsa and spreading across the West Bank and Gaza. Israeli police would then respond with live ammunition and rubber bullets. Around a day into the protests, on September 30th, 2000, images of 12-year-old Mohammed al-Dura killed in crossfire in Gaza while sheltering with his father would be broadcast around the world, further inflaming public outrage. And unrest would quickly escalate from demonstrations to widespread armed clashes, leading to the beginning of the Second Intifada. Militant groups like Hamas, Islamic Jihad, and Fatah's Tenzin would launch gunfire attacks, ambushes, and side bombings, as Israeli civilians and soldiers would be increasingly targeted, especially at roadblocks, settlements, and city borders. And the Israeli Defense Forces, or IDF, would respond with tanks.
From what I understand, settlements are like buildings in cities they're building in land that's not theirs. So I mean, shit. Like, is that fair game? I don't know. Is that like fair game, bro? I mean, if they're citizens and shit, it's kind of fucked up. But I mean, nigga, your own land that's not yours, buddy. Like, y'all niggas got enough land already, bro. Slow down.
Helicopters and live ammunition in urban centers like Nablus, Ramallah, Hebron, and Gaza City will become battlegrounds. By the end of 2000,
Nah, bro. Imagine living here, bro. Like, if you're on either side, I mean, it's kind of fucked. Like, I don't mean to laugh, but damn, like, it's just constant violence, bro. It's like literally been violence this whole video I've been watching, bro. I'm an hour and 10 in. It went from like the 1920s to the 2000s. So it's 80 years, bro, of just violence in this one area, bro. Just violence, bro, over a single piece of land, bro. Obviously, the Palestinians are not backing off, and Israelis are not backing off either, bro. So, like, I really like, even after watching this, bro, like, is there a resolution to this fucking conflict, bro, at all? Like, there's so much bloodshed and so much lost lives. It's like, bro, it's like, could these niggas ever forgive each other? Like, mainly could the Palestinians forgive the Israelis, bro? Because, like, let's be honest, bro. Definitely a lot more losses on that side from what I've seen so far.
And over 250 Palestinians will be killed, including many minors, and around 40 Israelis will be killed, being mostly soldiers and civilians, and hundreds more would be injured on both sides. The peace process had completely collapsed. Negotiations froze, and trust was evaporated. By 2001, daily clashes, shootings, and bombings would occur across West Bank, Gaza Strip, and inside Israel, and both Palestinian militants and Israeli security forces would carry out their own attacks and raids.
Got the American flag in that motherfucker, boy. Shit.
2001, Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Barak, having failed to reach a peace agreement and facing escalating violence, would resign. And in February, Ariel Sharon would be elected prime minister. He refused to negotiate in peace negotiations while violence continued, adopting a hardline military approach. And reoccupation would begin as the Israeli army began entering Palestinian cities that were designated as Area A under the Oslo Accords and were previously off limits. However, this was justified as
This game, you're not ready for it.
'Cause you're not ready for it. 'Cause you're not ready for it. 'Cause you're not ready for it. 'Cause you're not ready for it. 'Cause you're not ready for it. 'Cause you're not ready for it. 'Cause you're not ready for it. 'Cause you're not ready for it. 'Cause you're not ready for it. 'Cause you're not ready for it. 'Cause you're not ready for it. 'Cause you're not ready for it. 'Cause you're not ready for it. 'Cause you're not ready for it. 'Cause you're not ready for it. 'Cause you're not ready for it. 'Cause you're not ready for it. 'Cause you're not ready for it. 'Cause you're not ready for it. 'Cause you're not ready for it. 'Cause you're not ready for it. 'Cause you're not ready for it. 'Cause you're not ready for it. 'Cause you're not ready for it. 'Cause you're not ready for it. 'Cause you're not ready for it. 'Cause you're not ready for it. 'Cause you're not ready for it. 'Cause you're not ready quote, fighting terrorism. 2002 would be the bloodiest and most pivotal year of the Second Intifada, as on March 27, 2002, a Hamas suicide bomber would attack the Park Hotel during Passover, killing 30 people and injuring 140. It was one of the deadliest attacks in Israeli history and a turning point in the conflict. And in response to this bombing and dozens of earlier attacks, Israel would launch its largest military operation in the West Bank since 1967, Operation Defensive Shield, as the IDF invaded and reoccupied all major Palestinian cities, including Ramallah, Bethlehem, Jenin, Nablus, and Tulkarem. Israel also began constructing a West Bank barrier, or separation wall, citing security reasons to prevent suicide bombings, and Palestinians and human rights groups criticized the wall's route, which often extended deep into the West Bank as a de facto annexation of land. And at a summit in Beirut, Saudi Arabia would actually propose a land for peace plan, that being full Arab recognition of Israel in exchange for complete withdrawal from 1967 territories. Israel did not formally accept this, but this was also a significant diplomatic moment that would later be somewhat revived. In 2003, bombings and rocket fire from Gaza would continue, and Israel would intensify targeted assassinations of Hamas and Islamic Jihad leaders using drones.
Like think about like these niggas talking about bombers, self-deletion bombers. It's like, bro, like it's the hatred you have to have for these niggas to even go through with something like that, bro. Like the pride you have for your people to go through with something like that is like, it's unbelievable, bro. It's unreal. So it's like, damn. I mean, but after fucking damn near 100 years of fucking like beefing with each other and fighting and killing and shit like that, it's like, are niggas surprised, really, bro? Are niggas surprised?
Helicopters and special forces. In April 2003, the United States, European Union, Russia, and the United Nations would introduce the Roadmap, which was a phased plan for ending the conflict and creating a Palestinian state by 2005. And Israel and the Palestinian Authority both accepted the plan with their own reservations. This roadmap required Palestinians to end violence and reform institutions, and Israel to freeze settlement activity, and neither side actually fully complied to this.
All right, so phase 1, ending terror and violence, normalizing Palestinian life, and building Palestinian institutions. All right. Includes, all right, drafting constitution for Palestinian statehood and conducting free elections. Okay, so sounds like a democracy. So they're like, all right, we will have a democracy, bro. Just give us our own fucking land. All right, transitions, phase 2. An independent Palestinian state is created with provisional borders and attributes of sovereignty. The Palestinian leadership continues to act decisively against terror and to build a practicing democracy based on tolerance and liberty. All right, so, I mean, these niggas are like, yo, bro, we'll play ball, bro. We'll play ball, bro. Like, we'll have a democracy also right next to you guys. I'm guessing that's what people call a two-state solution. Two-state solution right next to each other, but it's like, can they do it though, nigga? Like, and then all right, phase 3, permanent status agreement and end of Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Palestinian reform is consolidated and its institutions stabilized while effective security performance is sustained. Israel-Palestine negotiations aim at a permanent status agreement in 2005. All right, cool. I ain't reading all of that, but that's pretty much the gist of it, niggas.
In June of 2003, under pressure from the U.S., Yasser Arafat would agree to appoint Mahmoud Abbas as prime minister to bypass accusations that Arafat was enabling terror, and Abbas called for an end to violence, but actually lacked real authority and faced internal opposition from Fatah and Hamas. And by September, Abbas would resign, saying that he was
But he's like, damn, nigga, why can't, like, niggas, like, come on, I got an agreement on hand and shit, bro. Like, let's get it together over on this side, bro. Like, there's no reason for you guys should be fighting each other, bro. But I mean, hey, man, power is a fucking powerful drug, bro.
Instructed by Arafat and lacked support from the U.S. and Israel. In March of 2004, Israel would assassinate Hamas leader Sheikh Ahmad Yassin, and his death would trigger massive outrage and calls for revenge. And less than a month later, they would kill his successor, Abdel Aziz al-Rantisi, in a similar airstrike, and these assassinations would weaken Hamas leadership, albeit temporarily. After this, Ariel Sharon would propose a unilateral withdrawal from the Gaza Strip.
So does that mean that people wanted Hamas, bro? If the people like were that tight that these niggas murdered the Hamas leaders? It's like, what the fuck is going on? Like, what the fuck is going on? Oh, let me check something real quick. My fault, y'all. And play.
And four
I could just
West
kept
Bank
playing it
settlements.
while I was
And
doing
his
that.
rationale was to reduce friction
My
with
bad.
Palestinians and improve Israel's international position. The plan was supported by the US and caused a massive political split within Israel, with opposition from both Likud hardliners and Israeli settlers. On November 11th, 2004, Yasser Arafat would fall ill and would die at a hospital in Paris. His death would mark the end of an era, as he had been the symbol of Palestinian nationalism since the 1960s, and Mahmoud Abbas would succeed him as the head of the Palestinian Liberation Organization, or PLO, and later the Palestinian Authority. In 2005, Israel would unilaterally withdraw from Gaza, also known as the Gaza Disengagement Plan. This was one of the most significant developments in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict since the Oslo Accords. It marked the first time Israel removed settlements from occupied territory and fully withdrew its military presence from Gaza. But the move also sparked deep internal divisions and regional power shifts and unintended long-term consequences. By this time, Ariel Sharon argued that Gaza was a constant source of conflict, requiring disproportionate military presence to protect a small number of Israeli settlers surrounded by a hostile population. So, 21 settlements were evacuated and demolished, and these 8,000 settlers were forcibly removed by the IDF and police. Many settlers actually resisted, and images of Israeli soldiers dragging fellow citizens out of synagogues and homes were broadcast worldwide. The IDF would then dismantle all military bases and outposts in Gaza, and on September 12th, 2005.
Damn, I mean, they fucking got them niggas out of there for real, though. I mean, I guess that's a show of good faith to the Palestinians right there, bro. Niggas is out here fucking dragging niggas literally out of their fucking houses, bro. Holy shit.
Israel officially declared the end of military rule in Gaza. However, they would retain full control over the West Bank. The Palestinian Authority under Mahmoud Abbas would welcome the withdrawal, but criticized it for being unilateral, as it didn't have any coordination or negotiations. Hamas and other factions would claim victory, arguing that armed resistance had forced Israel to retreat, and the withdrawal significantly boosted Hamas's popularity in Gaza. And in this power vacuum, chaos would ensue. Palestinian Authority security forces would struggle to maintain control, and infighting between Fatah and Hamas militants would follow, and militants also began launching more frequent rockets into southern Israel. This disengagement deeply divided Israeli society, as many on the right viewed it as a betrayal, especially from Sharon, once considered a hero of the settler movement. In the Yesha Council, representing settlers, organized mass protests against the withdrawal. Sharon would break from Likud to form a new centrist party, Kadima, aimed at continuing unilateral policies without being shackled by the right wing. Now understand that this did not officially end the occupation, as Israel still controlled airspace, coastal waters, population registry, and border crossings. And this would also pave the way for the
AKA, it was still Israel, nigga. It was all Israel. It was always Israel, nigga. Pretty much, bro. God damn. Niggas ran everything, bro. They're just like, alright, you niggas can just do security for this area, nigga, but we're gonna control literally everything else, bro. That's it.
2006 elections and Hamas takeover. Hamas would win a victory in the Palestinian legislative elections, taking 74 out of 132 seats, defeating the long-dominant Fatah party. And this victory was viewed as a democratic milestone, but shattered Western hopes for a moderate.
Odin Valhalla Rising, now available.
I swear I hate ads, bro.
Palestinian leadership. The United States, Israel, and the European Union immediately cut aid and refused to recognize the Hamas-led government, labeling Hamas as a terrorist organization. This resulted in a severe financial crisis for the Palestinian Authority, which had been heavily reliant on foreign aid. Clashes would then break out between Hamas and Fatah supporters, especially in Gaza, as power-sharing negotiations collapsed, and President Mahmoud Abbas of Fatah remained in control of the Palestinian Authority and security services, leading to a complete paralysis of governance. Rocket fire from Gaza-based militants, including Hamas and Islamic Jihad, would intensify, and on June 25, 2006, Hamas-linked militants crossed into Israel using a tunnel and captured an Israeli soldier, Gilad Shalit, while killing 2 others. This kidnapping prompted Operation Summer Rains, which was a prolonged military offensive in Gaza aimed at securing Shalit's release and halting rocket fire into Israel. Throughout early 2007, tensions would escalate into near civil war in the Palestinian territories, as repeated assassinations, kidnappings, and gun battles occurred, particularly in Gaza. Beginning on June 10th, Hamas would launch a violent and swift takeover of Gaza, defeating Fatah's security forces in under a week. They seized government buildings, and dozens of Fatah members would be executed or completely driven out, and Gaza fell under exclusive Hamas control. In the West Bank, Mahmoud Abbas would dissolve the Hamas-led government and appointed a Western-backed emergency government led by Salam Fayyad, and this created a de facto and political geographic split, as Hamas ruled Gaza and Fatah governed the West Bank. In a response to Hamas's takeover, Israel and Egypt would impose a strict land, air, and sea blockade on Gaza.
It's crazy because it's like, if you're a Palestinian power holder, like, what the fuck do you do though? Like, because you know Hamas, if they're ruling, they're not getting any fucking foreign aid. So it's like, niggas really gotta like, what the fuck? Niggas really gotta whatchamacallit, hold themselves down. Shout out to whoever just followed, bro. So what did you turn? I'm not, yo, bro. I'm still learning about this shit right now, bro. But shout out to you for following. It seems like, you know what I mean? Like I said, from like inside of Palestine, like the Palestinian, like, seems they have their own conflict going on inside of like their own shit, bro. It's like, all right, the Palestinian Authority is obviously. Oh, I am from Israel, by the way. Shout out to you, nigga. I don't know how you found my channel, bro, but yeah, bro. Like I said, I'm not sure. I mean, I seen that Hamas, obviously, we're still bombing you niggas at that point. So that's kind of fucked up, I'm not gonna lie. But then again, you know what I mean? Like, that was their land before you guys got there, bro. Well, not legally, like I said earlier. I don't know if you was watching earlier. I know it wasn't legally a land. I know you guys got it pretty much from the Brits and shit like that. But I mean, those people, they do go back a long fucking time there, bro. I mean, obviously you had the Ottoman Empire before there. But yeah, bro. Like I said, I'm not sure, bro. I'm still learning about this shit right now. But I seen that the Western powers obviously didn't fuck with Hamas at all whatsoever. But it seems like the people did over there, bro. It seems like the people over there did. And like I said, it's like, if it's a democracy, it should be for the people, bro. The people wanted them there. But I mean, obviously that doesn't do you guys well because, you know what I mean? You niggas is over there, bro. And obviously, like I said, it must suck living over there, bro. No offense, bro, but it must really suck living over there, buddy. Like, it's a constant war, like I said, for the past 80 years. Shit is bonkers, bro. Well, if you really are from Israel, man, I hope you are safe over there, bro. Because, like I said, I seen what's going on with Iran right now, and damn. Nigga, damn. That's all I got to say, bro.
Was intended to isolate Hamas, but it's also resulted in severe humanitarian consequences as Gaza's economy collapsed. In 2008, rocket fire from Gaza would.
That's good then, buddy. That's good then, bro. That's good, man. It sucks that there's deaths on both sides. I'm not gonna lie. Like I said, that does suck.
Intensify as militants dramatically increased rocket and mortar attacks on southern Israeli towns and began using longer-range Qassam and Grad rockets, putting larger civilian areas within striking distance.
All right, my fault, guys. Because I got this. My man's over here talking to me. We don't have. I got a shelter. How old are you, bro? And I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna try to pronounce your name, Colin, but definitely botch that shit, bro. I ain't gonna lie. You're 26. Oh, all right. Well, damn, bro. Quick question, bro. Does every single Israeli like citizen have to? I heard that there's like mandatory like military service, so everybody that lives there has to go into the IDF and fight. Is that true? Is this true? Damn. So using the IDF? I don't mean to put you on blast like that, my nigga, because there's probably some Palestinian supporters on the TikTok side. You know what I'm saying? I got a few people watching over there. You know what I mean? It might be on your ass, buddy. I ain't gonna lie. Oh, all right. You have medical problems, so no. All right. But shit, bro. Like I said, shit sucks over there. I mean, it gotta suck over there, bro. It really does, yo. Gotta be scary as fuck. To be honest, on both sides, though, bro. On both sides. The Palestinians, too. Because, like, damn.
However, a 6-month ceasefire brokered by Egypt in June of 2008 led to a temporary reduction in violence. However, this would all collapse on December 19th, 2008, when Hamas
Yo.
officially ended the ceasefire, citing continued Israeli blockades and
This nigga said
attacks.
F
In the
Iran, bro.
following
Holy
days,
shit.
dozens of rockets would be fired into Israel, prompting Operation Cast Lead
God
on December
damn,
27th.
bro. Jesus Christ. Are you really from Israel, bro? I mean, I guess if you're saying all this shit, man. God damn. So I guess the beef is really real, bro. Jesus Christ. Is there any resolution, bro? Do you believe in the two-state resolution, bro? My fault, y'all. I'm like talking to this one nigga right here. He said, yeah, all right, cool. All right, so you do believe in the two-state solution. Do you believe in the current borders, though? Like, do you think Israel should, like, hold, like, 80% of that shit down? If that's the current, I believe that's the current borders. Like, y'all have, like, most of the land. That's kind of crazy, bro.
2008. Israel would launch this major military operation with the goals of halting rocket fire from Hamas, damaging Hamas's military capabilities, and reasserting deterrence after years of conflict. This began with an aerial bombing campaign targeting Hamas infrastructure, police stations, and smuggling tunnels, and ground invasion involving tanks and infantry penetrating Gaza, and continued operations culminated in a unilateral Israeli ceasefire on January 18, 2009. This operation led to over 1,400 Palestinians being killed, including hundreds of civilians, and around 13 Israelis would die, including 3 civilians. This also led to massive destruction of homes, hospitals, schools, and UN facilities in Gaza. And the Goldstone report, commissioned by the UN Human Rights Council, accused both Israel and Hamas of war crimes.
My fault, y'all. I keep posting the video, but I do want to ask this nigga a question since he's we have a guy from Israel watching this and he's actually communicating with me, so I do have some questions for this nigga. Yo, so where does it end, bro? Like that's my thing. Like where does it end? Like if you guys were, let's say, come to this two-state solution, cause I'm sure you hear all the noise that's going on. Well, I don't know if you hear all the noise, but in America, bro, there's a lot of people that think you guys just want to take over the whole Middle East, bro. Like the whole shit, bro, for a greater Israel. Do you believe, like, it is never going to end? God damn. So, do you actually believe in a two-state solution, or you just think Israel should run everything, bro?
And this report would spark a global debate and damaged Israel's international reputation, particularly in Europe. In 2010, Gaza was still being blockaded by Israel, and on May 31st, 2010, a group of ships carrying pro-Palestinian activists and humanitarian aid tried to break the Israeli naval blockade of Gaza. The lead vessel was boarded by Israeli naval commandos in international waters, and a violent clash would ensue on deck, leading to 9 Turkish activists being killed and many others injured. This incident would cause a global diplomatic crisis. Turkey, a strategic Israeli ally, would downgrade their relations, and mass protests would erupt worldwide. The UN and other international bodies condemned the raid and called for the lifting of the Gaza blockade. And Benjamin Netanyahu, who had returned as prime minister, continued a security-focused policy, rejecting calls for a full withdrawal from the West Bank or Gaza. In early 2011, the Arab Spring would erupt across the Middle East and North Africa, beginning in Tunisia and spreading rapidly to Egypt, Libya, Syria, Yemen, and beyond. And although Palestine wasn't a direct battleground, the uprisings inspired political mobilization and heightened instability in neighboring Arab states, especially Egypt and Syria, both of which were key players in the Israel-Palestine conflict. In February 2011, Egyptian President Hosni Mubarak, a longtime ally of both the US and Israel, would be forced to resign, and his fall weakened Egypt's ability to mediate between Hamas and Fatah. And furthermore, the Muslim Brotherhood's rising political power in Egypt made Israeli officials nervous due to the Brotherhood's ideological ties to Hamas. The Arab Spring would pressure Palestinian factions to address their own divisions, and Hamas and Fatah would begin reconciliation talks in Cairo, leading to the April 2011 Unity Agreement, which called for a transitional government and new elections. And in September of 2011, Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas would submit a formal application for full membership in the United Nations, arguing for the...
Yeah, I'm like mad confused. I'm not gonna lie, bro, because I was watching this video. I don't know how long if you're watching this, people that's watching this on TikTok and Twitch. But I'm pretty sure, didn't they say this nigga got murdered, bro? Like, didn't they say he was assassinated, and didn't they say he was like a part of Hamas, bro? Like, they used the same as that picture, unless this nigga has a twin brother or something, bro. I'm confused.
Recognition of a Palestinian state within 1967 borders, that being West Bank, Gaza, and East
Oh,
Jerusalem.
he was.
The bid garnered international sympathy, but was ultimately blocked in the UN Security Council, largely due to U.S. opposition, which promised to veto it. And on October 2011, Israel and Hamas reached a landmark deal as Hamas released Israeli soldier Gilad Shalit, who had been held hostage in Gaza since 2006, and in exchange, Israel freed 1,027 Palestinian prisoners. Throughout 2012,
God damn. Sheesh. It's a lot of motherfuckers, man, for one person, bro. But I mean, I guess that's a Palestinian W. But I mean, that's a kind of a W on both, not a W on both sides, but kind of is a W on both sides. 'Cause I guess that, like, the Israeli people probably was like, I bet they really care about their fucking citizens. And the Palestinian people are like, yeah, nigga, give us, yeah. We need all that back.
12 rocket and mortar fire from Gaza into southern Israel, and Israel would respond with targeted airstrikes, killing militants and sometimes civilians, escalating tensions across the border. On November 14, 2012, Israel would launch Operation Pillar of Defense, which was a week-long military campaign in Gaza. This began with the assassination of Ahmed Jabari, Hamas's military chief, and Israel aimed to, again, halt rocket fire and destroy Hamas's military infrastructure. Over 1,500 airstrikes would hit Gaza, and Palestinian militants in turn would fire over 1,400 rockets into Israel. In the ensuing conflict, over 160 Palestinians would be killed, including civilians, and 6 Israelis would die. The fighting would end with a ceasefire brokered by Egypt's Muslim Brotherhood-led government. And on November 29, 2012, the UN General Assembly would vote a 138-9 to recognize Palestine as a, quote, non-member observer state. This was a major diplomatic victory for Mahmoud.
Shout out to you on TikTok, Simone, for the follow, yo. Appreciate you, shorty.
The Abbas and the Palestinian Authority, as the resolution implicitly recognized Palestinian statehood based on 1967 borders. However, Israel and the U.S. opposed the move, calling it unilateral and counterproductive. And in retaliation, Israel announced plans to build 3,000 new settlement homes. In July of 2013, U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry managed to restart direct peace talks between Israel and Palestinian.
I'm not gonna lie, this nigga has no lips at all whatsoever, bro. This nigga is wild looking as hell. He look creepy as shit, bro. It's like, why does everybody that like gets power and shit always look so fucking creepy, bro, and just so weird looking, bro? Like, never a good looking guy, pause, like, ever. It's always some creepy looking motherfucker. Shit, wow.
After a 3-year freeze, and both sides agreed to 9 months of negotiations, with the goal of reaching a final status agreement by 2014. Hamas was excluded from this, and many Palestinians saw the process as...
All right, my fault, y'all, quick, because my man just talking to me, and I'm actually interested and intrigued, bro. All right, so it's all about Iran and Hamas. So what you're telling me is you don't have a problem with the Palestinian people, but you have problem with the governments that are ruling over. Well, it seems like you got a problem with the Iranian people, but the Palestinian people you only got a problem with. You got a problem with the governing body. Is that what you're telling me?
It's disconnected from reality on the ground. In the West Bank, clashes between Palestinian protesters and Israeli forces intensified, especially near settlements and checkpoints. And in Gaza, Hamas faced increasing isolation as after Egypt's July 2013 military coup ousted President Mohamed Morsi, the new government cracked down on Hamas as they were seen as the Muslim Brotherhood's ally. Egypt destroyed smuggling tunnels connecting Gaza to the Sinai Peninsula and severely damaged Gaza's economy and cut off Hamas's supply lines. Fatah and Hamas would sign a reconciliation agreement to form a Palestinian unity government for the first time in years. And although the unity was largely symbolic and short-lived, it further eroded trust between Israel and the Palestinian Authority. And on June 12, 2014, 3 Israeli settlers would be kidnapped and later murdered in the West Bank near Hebron.